Fine. I will.
There we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome from the Michigan Reading Association 66th Annual Conference here in Lansing. I'm really excited today to have our Great Lakes Great Books Award announcements with Jessie Schertz, who is the chair, and I will hand it over to Jessie from here.
Excellent. Sorry. Excellent. Thank you all for joining us this morning for our award presentation. As Leah introduced me, my name is Jessie Schertz. I am the library director at the Ishpeming Carnegie Public Library, located in Ishpeming, up in the UP. I have been on the Great Lakes Great Books Award Committee for about 10 years, but this is my first year as chair. And before we dive in, I just wanted to throw out a very genuine, heartfelt thank you to all of our committee members who spend countless hours reading throughout the year to create this list for everyone here. Also, I'd like to specifically thank Lynette Zuko for answering all of my questions. She's a former chair and current committee member and has saved me multiple times throughout this year. Anyhow, we will get started. The Great Lakes Great Books Award Committee promotes student involvement in literacy by recommending age-appropriate, well-written, interesting books for classroom teachers and school librarians to use with their students. The committee is made up of Michigan teachers and librarians who read broadly across children's books published in the current year and 1 year previous to create our batch of nominees. Outside nominations from the public and publishers are also considered. If you read a great book, please let us know. You may nominate a title on our page on the Michigan Reading Association's website, michiganreading.org. 8 nominees are chosen each year for each of the following 5 age groups: kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade and 3rd grade, 4th grade and 5th grade, 6th through 8th grade, and 9th through 12th grade. Michigan students vote on their favorite books in their grade level, which also serves to highlight the election process. Winners of the current year and nominees for the next year are announced at the Michigan Reading Association's annual conference held in March, which is this today. The committee maintains a web presence at michiganreading.org/great-lakes-great-books and on social media. We're at MishGLG Books on Facebook and Twitter and at Great Lakes Great Books on Instagram. Winners are determined by the number of votes each title receives. The book with the most votes is our winner, and so on in descending order with up to 2 honor books. Because I love a dramatic reveal, we're going to go in reverse order for our announcement. So we'll begin with the 2nd honor book, go to the 1st, and then end with the winner in each category. Let's do that. All right, so we're going to begin in our kindergarten, 1st grade category. Our 2nd honor book is We Will Rock Our Classmates by Ryan T. Higgins. As the only T-Rex in her school, Penelope is often overlooked. But when she loses her confidence after signing up for a school talent show, her father and some friends help her find her courage. Also, apologies, these are all library books, so there's a bit of a reflection on the covers there. Our 1st honor book in the K1 category is Lift by Min Lei, illustrated by Dan Santat. Iris, who has always been the one to push the elevator button, is displeased when her little brother starts to do it before she gets a chance. So she uses a discarded button to take her someplace else, anyplace else. Our winner in the K1 category for 2022 is student overwhelming favorite, See the Cat, 3 Stories About a Dog by David LaRochelle, illustrated by Mike Wanutka. What happens when the book gets it wrong? Max is not a cat. Max is a dog. But much to his dismay, the book keeps instructing readers to see the cat. How can Max get through to the book that he is a dog? Super fun. All right. Let's move on to our 2nd and 3rd grade category. Do the same thing. Go in reverse order. So our 2nd honor book in 2 to 3 is I Talk Like a River by Jordan Scott, illustrated by Sydney Smith. When a boy who stutters feels isolated, alone, and incapable of communicating in the way he'd like, it takes a kindly father and a walk by the river to help him find his voice. Compassionate parents everywhere will instantly recognize a father's ability to reconnect a child with the world around him. It's based on a true story of the author and his parent. So very, very lovely. Second honor book in the 2 to 3 category is Honeybee, The Busy Life of Apis mellifera by Candace Fleming, illustrated by Eric Roman. Describes the life of a typical worker bee as she emerges from her cell, does different jobs around the hive, while growing big enough and strong enough to fly, and flies far and wide to search for nectar, which is not a sufficient description for this book because the information is lovely, but the illustrations are what really make this one extraordinary. And again, we had an overwhelming favorite for the winner in the 2 to 3 category, which is Donut Feed the Squirrels by Mika Song. 2 squirrels and best friends meet their match, a donut food truck. A hilarious young graphic novel, perfect for fans of Narwhal, Unicorn of the Sea, and anyone who would do anything for a donut. In here. All right. Getting into a little bit older ages here. Let's go in our 4th and 5th grade category. Our second honor book is From the Desk of Zoe Washington by Janae Marks. Avid baker Zoe Washington receives a letter on her 12th birthday from her biological father, who is in prison. Zoe isn't sure what to write. What does a girl say to the father she's never met and who's been in prison for a terrible crime? A crime he says he never committed. Could Marcus really be innocent? Zoe is determined to uncover the truth. Our first honor book for the 4 to 5 category is not going to fit in frame. Incredible Jobs You've Probably Never Heard of by Natalie Labar. This introduces a new generation of future workers to some of the remarkable and lesser known jobs that people do for a living. From a sloth babysitter and a taste tester to a corpse farmer and a dinosaur duster. There were occupations in there I've never heard of. All right. And the winner in the 4 to 5 category is Vamos, Let's Go Eat by Raul III, colors by Elaine Bay. Little Lobo is excited to take in a show with wrestling star El Toro in his bustling border town. After getting lunch orders from the Bull and his friends to help prepare for the event, Little Lobo takes readers on a tour of food trucks that sell his favorite foods, like quesadillas with red peppers and Mexican Korean tacos. Peppered with Latin American Spanish vocabulary, this truly is a feast for the eyes. All right, middle schoolers. Woo. We're going to move to the 6th, 8th category now. I agree, Vamos is a great book. Okay, second honor book in 6 to 8 category, pardon me, is Black Brother by Jewel Parker Rhodes. A powerful coming-of-age story about 2 brothers, one who presents as white, the other as black, and the complex ways in which they are forced to navigate the world, all while training for a fencing competition. You don't see fencing a whole lot in middle grade titles. This was a great addition. Our first honor book in 6 to 8 is hugely popular everywhere. Class Act by Jerry Craft. 8th grader Drew Ellis recognizes that he isn't afforded the same opportunities, no matter how hard he works, that his privileged classmates at the Riverdale Academy Day School take for granted. And to make matters worse, Drew begins to feel as if his good friend Liam might be one of those privileged kids and is finding it hard not to withdraw, even as their mutual friend Jordan tries to keep their group of friends together. Companion to New Kid. Oh my gosh, it's backwards. This is a fabulous full-color graphic novel. All right, and the winner in the 6 to 8 category is another very popular at my library graphic novel, Twins by Varian Johnson, illustrated by Shannon Wright. Twins Maureen and Francine distinguished themselves for the first time by pursuing separate interests at the beginning of 6th grade. Maureen and Francine are growing apart, and there's nothing Maureen can do to stop it. Are sisters really forever? Or will middle school change things for good? Another excellent. And our final category, 9th through 12th grade. So many books. Our second honor book is You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. Liz Leidy has always done her best to avoid the spotlight in her small, wealthy, and prom-obsessed Midwestern high school. After all, her family is Black and rather poor, especially since her mother died. Instead, she has concentrated on her grades and her musical ability in the hopes that it will win her a scholarship to elite Pennington College and their famous orchestra, where she plans to study medicine. But when that scholarship falls through, she's forced to turn to her school scholarship for prom king and queen, which plunges her into the gauntlet of social media, which she hates, and leads her to discoveries about her own identity and the value of true friendships. Also an excellent audiobook, if anyone's looking for one. First honor book in the 9th through 12th category is Dragon Hoops by Jean Lewin Yang. Jean doesn't get sports. As a kid, his friends called him Stick, and every basketball game he played ended in pain. He lost interest in basketball long ago, but at the high school where he now teaches, it's all anyone can talk about. The men's varsity team, the Dragons, is having a phenomenal season that's been decades in the making. This is a rather large graphic novel. Contains a lot of history of basketball, which was fascinating. Our winner for the 9th through 12th category, I'm personally super excited about, probably shouldn't say that, is Go With the Flow by Lily Williams and Karen Schneeman. High school students embark on a crash course of friendship, female empowerment, and women's health issues. It's not often you see a graphic novel about menstruation, but this one is. I also love that the author and artist only used shades of red. Fabulous, fabulous book. All right. Those are our winners for 2022, but that's only part of the reason we're here today. We are also excited to announce our new list of nominees, which kids will be able to vote on this year. Each year, our committee reads hundreds of books before we meet, generally in January, to select the nominee lists for each age group. We always try to include fiction and nonfiction, and we also like to include graphic novels and fun or funny books in each group, looking for high reader interest and also just really great quality books. So, as I said, we select 8 books for each of the 5 categories for a total of 40 nominees. And I think we'll just do K1 on up again. So let's see what we have for those. All right. Sorry, get all my everything set here. Excellent. So we'll start with K1. 8 nominees. Our first nominee in this category for 2023 is There's a Skeleton Inside You by Eden Ben Brock, illustrated by Julian Frost. 2 aliens are on their way to a party when their spaceship breaks down. They ask for help from the reader and show how the bones, muscles, and nerves work to help the aliens fix their ship. Interactive picture books are hugely popular at my library and probably everywhere. And this is one of my favorites. Reader places their hand, turn the page. There are bones. This is super fun, but also you'll learn something. Our next nominee in the K1 category is Don't Hug Doug. He Doesn't Like It by Carrie Finnison, illustrated by Daniel Wiseman. Sorry for that, Claire. Doug prefers not to be hugged, but there are a variety of other ways his loved ones can show him affection. Great introduction to the concept of consent. Here's some of those other ways you can show Doug affection. Doesn't want hugs, but he'll take some ice cream. Let's do those out of order. Our next title in K1 is Birdhouse by Blanca Gomez. A little girl and her abuela tend to an injured bird they find in the snow, allowing it to fly around the living room until it is ready to be released. This is a very sweet story about a little girl and her grandmother, and I personally enjoyed the fact, slight spoiler, they don't keep the bird at the end, they let the bird go. And I don't know, my Brother wanted to keep everything when he was a kid, so that's a good lesson to learn. Let's see. All right, next up for K1 is Butterflies Are Pretty Gross by Rosemary Mosco, illustrated by Jacob Zuva. Butterflies are beautiful and quiet and gentle and sparkly, but that's not the whole truth. Butterflies can be gross. And one butterfly in particular is here to let everyone know. Talking directly to the reader, a monarch butterfly reveals how its kind is so much more than what we think. They truly are pretty disgusting. Turn to goo in their cocoons, and as my daughter likes to point out, they eat poop. It's going to be really popular, I think. Okay, K1. This year we also selected A Friend Like You by Frank Murphy and Shanae Gordon, illustrated by Kayla Heron. There's nothing in the world like a wonderful friend. Friends are there to laugh with you and ready with a hug when you need one. Adventure friends and study friends. There are forever friends and brand new friends. In this book, celebrate all the marvelous ways you can be a friend. It's really adorable illustrations. And given we've all been rather separate for a while, it's probably a good time for a refresher for young ones and all the ways to be a friend. Maybe for all of us. Okay. Next up in K1, still in K1, is When Lola Visits by Michelle Sterling, illustrated by Aaron Assis. For one young girl, summer is the season of no school, of days spent at the pool and of picking golden limes off the trees. But summer doesn't start until her Lola, her grandmother from the Philippines, comes for her annual visit. When Lola visits, the whole family gathers to cook and eat and share in their happiness of another season spent together. I feel like I can smell what they're cooking on the pages of this book. The way food is described is just absolutely delicious. Feel the wind in your hair. It's a sensory experience. I feel like this is not showing very well on screen. I apologize. Two more in K1. So next up is Fitz and Cleo by Jonathan Stutzman, illustrated by Heather Fox. Oops. Ghost siblings and best friends, Fitz and Cleo go to the beach, fly paper airplanes, play baseball, and adopt a cat. This is a cute little beginning reader graphic novel, which is always fun to have, and a great sibling book. And the final title for our K1 nominees for this year is Mel Fell by Corey R. Tabor. Readers will delight in turning their book sideways and upside down to follow Mel on her journey from downward fall to triumphant flight in this tale of self-confidence and taking a leap of faith. This is a really fun book. Obviously, they all are. We start in one direction. Mel falls. Spoiler alert. Down, down, down. Until she lands in the water. At which point, the reader is directed to turn the book for the placement of the text and then read in the other direction as she flies back up. Okay, that is our K1 category. Let me check and make sure I'm not talking too fast or too slow. All right, now up is our second and third grade category. So books for second and third graders. Which, side note, kids don't only have to vote in their own age category. If they read outside of that, they can vote in more than one. We just want to hear what they liked. All right, first up is Crossings, Extraordinary Structures for Extraordinary Animals by Katie S. Duffield and illustrated by Mike Oradon. There we go. This powerful nonfiction picture book explores wildlife crossings around the world and how they are helping to save thousands of animals every day. The illustrations here are wonderful. Also, I'll be honest, I didn't necessarily know that things like this existed. Very interesting, especially living in Michigan where it's probably more prevalent in the UP, but deer crossing are something we're all very familiar with. All right. Next up in 2-3 is Digging for Words. Jose Alberto Gutierrez and the Library He Built by Angela Burke Kunkel, illustrated by Paula Escobar. In Bogota, Colombia, young Jose eagerly anticipates Saturday, when he can visit the library started by Jose Alberto Gutierrez, a garbage collector who takes a book home to enjoy all week. And take a book home to enjoy all week. It includes biographical notes about Gutierrez, because this is based on a real story. Excellent illustrations. And in nonfiction books, I'm always interested in the back matter. This includes actual photos of the library. Next up in 2-3 is Drop, an adventure through the water cycle by Emily Kate Moon. Drop the Water Droplet leads young readers on an adventure through the water cycle. Super cute illustrations. It would be really fun to recreate these with kiddos. The next one is a favorite in my house. The Great Stink, How Joseph Bazalgette Solved London's Poop Pollution Problem by Colleen Paff, illustrated by Nancy Carpenter. Taking readers back to 1858 London, during which the River Thames reeks. This hilarious nonfiction picture book follows an engineer named Joseph Bazalgette as he creates a new sewer system to clean the river and save lives. A lot of history in here I wasn't aware of. And a lot of it is very disgusting. I really enjoyed, however, how the illustrator showed that cholera, which was killing a lot of people, thanks to the poop pollution problem in the river they're drinking water out of, will just randomly intersperse skeletons in the illustrations. Also an excellent timeline in the back if you're wondering how that has progressed since the 1850s. Okay, next up in 2-3 is Dear Tree Frog by Joyce Sidman, illustrated by Diana Sudica. With magical, concise, and perceptive poems, Joyce Sidman captures the life of a tree frog in an intimate and moving way. We learn how tree frogs have sticky toe pads, how they still themselves when in danger, and how they can change from green to gray to camouflage themselves. Joyce Sidman's poetry is always wonderful, but the illustrations here are also wonderful. Next up in 2-3 is We Are Still Here, Native American Truths Everyone Should Know by Tracy Sorrell and Frenae Lassac. A group of Native American kids from different tribes presents 12 historical and contemporary time periods, struggles, and victories to their classmates, each ending with a powerful refrain, We are still here. Speaking of history I didn't know, there is a lot in here everyone should know. This one will probably be familiar to a lot of folks. Watercress by Andrea Wang, illustrated by James Chin. This year's Caldecott winner. Embarrassed about gathering watercress from a roadside ditch, a girl learns to appreciate her Chinese heritage after learning why the plant is so important to her parents. Wonderful. Family story. A lot of history. Reminds me of the day I picked rhubarb off the side of a road. Okay. Last in the 2-3 category is Someone Builds the Dream by Lisa Wheeler, illustrated by Lauren Long. This book celebrates the skilled women and men who work to see the plans of architects, engineers, and designers brought to life. Lauren Long has a very unique, very distinctive and recognizable way of illustrating. But construction books are always super popular in our library, and I feel like this one is going to also be of great interest. I'm gonna mess up my book cart. I apologize. Okay, taking too long. All right, let's move on to 4th and 5th grade. looking at some more chapter books. Okay, so in a 4th to 5th grade category, we also have 8 nominees, beginning with Maya and the Rising Dark by Rena Barron. Struggling to understand why nobody else in her Southside Chicago neighborhood can see strange phenomena, 12-year-old Maya discovers that her missing father has been protecting a supernatural boundary between worlds. This will be popular with fans of Arusha or probably any of the Rick Riordan Presents series. It is very creative and personal opinion, very good. Next in the 4-5 category, we have a graphic novel, The Fifth Quarter by Mike Dawson. Lori Block is dedicated to her 4th grade basketball team, despite being relegated to an extra period before the real game starts, known as the 5th quarter, where the not-so-good kids play and the points don't count. That doesn't matter to Lori, though, because working on her skills gives her hints of self-confidence, which is a nice break from feeling awkward and out of place in her daily life. Oh, so relatable. Beautiful full-color graphic novel, and I personally appreciated Lori's hard work in improving her skills. Next up in 4-5 is Starfish by Lisa Phipps. Bullied and shamed her whole life for being fat, 12-year-old Ellie finally gains the confidence to stand up for herself with the help of some wonderful new allies. Everybody needs to read this book. Also, it is in verse, so it's a pretty quick read, and it is so important. It's hard not to have favorites. All right, next up in 4-5, speaking of favorites, The Book of Not Entirely Useful Advice by A.F. Harold, illustrated by Minnie Gray. Silly rhymes and whimsical wordplay combine in a riotous poetry collection that offers reflections on subjects ranging from onions and cabbages to jelly-eating cats and kilted koalas. I love funny picture books. I think they are amazing. One of our favorites in here has to do with not using gravy as perfume, or the dogs will eat you. Just fabulous illustrations and poetry. A lot of fun. Reminds me a lot of Chris Harris. I'm just no good at rhyming. And some Jack Pruletsky. Alrighty. Next up in 4-5 is Ancestor Approved. Edited by Cynthia Leidick Smith. Written by several authors. In a high school gym full of color and song, people dance, sell beadwork and books, and celebrate friendship and heritage. Young protagonists will meet relatives from far away, mysterious strangers, and sometimes one another, plus one scrappy res dog. They are the heroes of their own stories. This is a collection of short stories, but I would say intertwined short stories. They all take place at the same powwow in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And sometimes you can recognize characters from other stories within someone else's story. Intertwines very, very well, and also a fabulous audiobook. There are 4 or 5 narrators for all of the stories. Plus, it takes place in Michigan. Next up, slightly more serious subject, Nikki and Vera, a quiet hero of the Holocaust and the children he rescued, by Peter Seuss. In 1938, 29-year-old Nicholas Winton saved the lives of almost 700 children trapped in Nazi-occupied Czechoslovakia. One of the children he saved was a young girl named Vera, whose family enlisted Nikki's aid when the Germans occupied their country. As the war passes and Vera grows up, she must find balance in her dual identities, one her birthright, the other her choice. An age-appropriate introduction to the subject with an interesting author's note, photographs at the end. Get it back on the shelf. Okay, next up in 4-5 is another graphic novel, The Deep and Dark Blue by Nikki Smith. When a political coup usurps their noble house, Hawk and Grayson flee for their lives and assume new identities before joining an order of magical women, before their quest for vengeance is compromised by Grayson's longing to remain behind and finally live as a girl. Beautifully illustrated graphic novel. A wonderful story. Last up in the 4 to 5 category is probably another familiar title, and that is Unspeakable, The Tulsa Race Massacre by Carol Boston Weatherford, illustrated by Floyd Cooper. A powerful look at the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, one of the worst incidents of racial violence in our nation's history. Again, an age-appropriate introduction to a tough topic. Beautiful illustrations. Minutes left. Let's see if I can fit all these in here. All right, so we have our middle and high school left. So for our 6th to 8th category, for 6th to 8th graders, we have Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. One of my favorites of last year. 13-year-old Amari, a poor Black girl from the projects, gets an invitation from her missing brother to join the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs and join in the fight against an evil magician. If you have kids who like magic schools, they'll love Amari. The sequel comes out in November. Right. Next in 6 to 8 is a graphic novel, Oh My Gods, by Stephanie Cook and Inja Fitzpatrick, illustrated by Juliana Moon. When Karen leaves New Jersey to spend time with her enigmatic father on Mount Olympus, she's shocked to learn that her junior high classmates are gods and goddesses, and that one of them is turning people to stone. It's a super fun way to incorporate Greek mythology into a modern high school setting. It's fascinating and quite funny and fun. Next in the 6 to 8 category is I almost grabbed the wrong book. The Curse of the Mummy, Uncovering Tutankhamun's Tomb by Candace Fleming. Her name will sound familiar because her book Honeybee just won in the, it was an honor book in one of the other categories. Here we go. The true story of the search for Tutankhamun's tomb, the Western public's belief that the dig was cursed, and the battle for ownership of the treasures within. This is fantastic narrative nonfiction, perfect for middle schoolers. And frankly, for me, I like nonfiction with a lot of photographs. I think it's more engaging. And this has a lot. Also, it is just fascinating learning the very long process of excavating a tomb such as this. And maybe you will join me in being horrified in what they did when they finally unwrapped the mummy. Read to find out. Next in 6 to 8 is Ground Zero, a novel of 9/11 by Alan Gratz. Brandon is visiting his dad on the 107th floor of the World Trade Center on September 11th, 2001, when the attack comes. Rashmina is a girl in Afghanistan who has grown up in the aftermath of that attack, but dreams of peace, becoming a teacher, and escaping her village and the narrow role that the Taliban believes is appropriate for women. Both are struggling to survive, both changed forever by the events of 9/11. This is told in dual points of view. Alan Gratz, hugely popular here as well. All right. Next up is a novel in verse. What About Will by Ellen Hopkins. 12-year-old Trace Reynolds has always looked up to his brother, mostly because Will, who's 5 years older, has never looked down on him. It was Will who taught Trace to ride a bike, would watch sports on TV with him, and cheer him on at Little League. But when Will was knocked out cold during a football game, resulting in a brain injury, everything changed. Ellen Hopkins is most known for her teen novels in verse, such as the Crank series. But this is a foray into middle grade. All right. Next up is Red, White, and Whole by Regina LaRocca. Rhea feels torn between two worlds: school, where she's the only Indian American student, and home, with her family's traditions and holidays. But Rhea's parents don't understand why she's conflicted. They only notice when Rhea doesn't meet their strict expectations. Then, Rhea finds out that her ama, her mother, is sick. really sick. Ria, who dreams of becoming a doctor, even though she can't stomach the sight of blood, is determined to make her Alma well again. She'll be the perfect daughter if it means saving Alma's life. It's another beautiful one, also in verse. It reads very fast. We have two more in 68 category. They are both graphic novels. First up is The Leak by Kate Reed Petty, illustrated by Andrea Bell. When Ruth discovers a strange black slime in the man-made lake of her suburban neighborhood, she decides to investigate. Fortified by the encouragement of those around her, Ruth seeks the truth at all costs, even if it means taking on the rich local country club owner, who she believes is responsible for the pollution. This book is dedicated to the people of Flint, Michigan, and it is very interesting to see Ruth's investigative process. She comes to solve her mystery. Going too slow. The last book in our 68 category is Miles Morales, Shockwaves by Justin A. Reynolds and illustrated by Pablo Leon. Miles Morales, Brooklyn Spider-Man, learns that the disappearance of a new student's father is linked to the giant corporation sponsoring Miles's fundraiser for the victims of the Puerto Rico earthquake and sets out to discover the truth. It's kind of in the style of Marvel superhero comics. Hopefully I'm not showing any spoilers on here. This will be really fun. Superheroes are always of great interest for a lot of kids. All right. I have 8 minutes left. Let's see if I can do this. Our final category is our high school category for 9th through 12th graders. Go a little bit faster. So first, lots of people recognize this one. It is Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulley. Donis, who is part Ojibwe, defers attending the University of Michigan to care for her mother and reluctantly becomes involved in the investigation of a series of drug-related deaths. Hugely popular. Angeline Boulley is from the Sioux. The book is set in the Sioux. The opening chapter, the main character is running through Lake State's campus, which is fun for me because that is my alma mater. Fascinating. The audiobook also is amazing. Next up in the 9th through 12th category is Asha Bromfield. While visiting her father, who lives in Jamaica, 18-year-old Tilla faces a storm of dark secrets that threaten to unravel her own life, while an actual storm, Hurricane Gustav, threatens the lives of those she loves. The next title is Legendborn by Tracy Dion. Wanting to escape her previous life after the accidental death of her mother, 16-year-old Bree enrolls in a program for high school students at the local university before her witness to a magical attack reveals her undiscovered powers, as well as sinister truths about her mother's death. On a personal note, I had to have this book in print, ebook, and audiobook, so I could literally never stop reading until I finished it. This is for fans of Cassandra Clare. However, rather than it just being kind of supernatural creatures, although those are in here as well, it brings in Arthurian legends. So, King Arthur, Lancelot, in a really, really interesting way, with a bit of a twist at the end that I personally didn't see coming, which I think is high praise. The sequel comes out later this year. Thank you, Thea. I don't know if that's true. Next up in the 9th through 12th category is Elatsue by Darcy Little Badger. Elatsue lives in this slightly stranger America. It's the best description for the setting of this book. She can raise the ghosts of dead animals, a skill passed down through generations of her Lipan Apache family. Her beloved cousin has just been murdered in a town that wants no prying eyes. But she is going to do more than pry. This picture-perfect facade of Willoughby masks gruesome secrets, and she will rely on her wits, skills, and friends to tear off the mask and protect her family. I have never read a book like this before. It is so good. The audiobook is amazing as well, but this, I just want to live in this world. She has a pet ghost dog named Kirby. You can't beat that. Favorite of several on the committee as well. Okay, next up is Me Moth by Amber McBride. Moth, who lost her family in an accident, and Sonny, who is battling ongoing depression, take a road trip that has them chasing ghosts and searching for ancestors, which helps them move forward in surprising, powerful, and unforgettable ways. Also in verse. Favorite of several committee members as well. We had to have a couple graphic novels in the 9th through 12th category because we want to include everybody. So the first is Nubia, Real One by L.L. McKinney, illustrated by Robin Smith. She's wearing that logo for a reason. There we go. Nubia has always stood out because of her Amazonian strength. Though she uses her ability for good, she is seen as a threat. So when her best friend Keisha is threatened by a boy who thinks he owns the town, Nubia risks everything to become the hero society tells her she is not. A little bit more in the DC Comics style. However, there is a Wonder Woman tie-in here. So we love a female superhero. We love all superheroes. I personally love a female superhero. Our next graphic novel in this category is The Girl from the Sea by Molly Knox Ostertag. 15-year-old Morgan has a secret. She can't wait to escape the perfect little island where she lives. She's desperate to finish high school and escape her sad divorced mom, her volatile little brother, and worst of all, her great group of friends who don't understand Morgan at all. Because really, Morgan's biggest secret is that she has a lot of secrets, including the one about wanting to kiss another girl. Then one night, Morgan is saved from drowning by a mysterious girl named Kelty. The two become friends, and suddenly life on the island doesn't seem so stifling anymore. But Kelty has some secrets of her own, and as the girls start to fall in love, everything they're trying to hide will find its way to the surface, whether Morgan is ready or not. Molly Knox Ostertag also has a very distinctive illustrative style, and these girls are so cute. They're adorable. The final book in our 9th through 12th category for this year's nominees is another favorite. These are all the favorites of the committee. I shouldn't say that. We love them all, but I love this one. The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharp. When 17-year-old Nora O'Malley, the daughter of a con artist, is taken hostage in a bank heist, every secret she is keeping close begins to unravel. If you're a fan of like Ocean's 11 or anything heist related, you will love this. Because Nora's a con artist and she has skills that these bank robbers wish they had. Very good. I don't want to give away anything else. So I'm going to stop myself right there. But okay. That's a batch of nominees for this year. Those were the 40 nominees for 2022-23. It's based on the school year. So now that you know what all these fabulous books are, how do you tell us which ones you like? Well, you go to our website, which is michiganreading.org/great-lakes-great-books. And there are links. There's a link to nominate titles if you read something excellent. And there are 2 links to vote. One is an individual submitting their own votes for their favorites. Students can do that on their own. Be in public schools, homeschooled, any K through 12 Michigan student may vote. So they can do it individually on the ballot, or there's an educator tally, which allows teachers or school librarians to submit votes for an entire classroom, an entire school district, whatever group you're submitting for, without having to fill out the individual ballot 1,000 times, which is helpful. What else is on there? There's also a folder titled Teacher Resources, which currently contains this beautiful, I won't show it very well in here, poster of all of this year's nominees created by committee member Amanda Pierce. It also contains excellent bookmarks that I didn't print off. Sorry, Nicole. Created by committee member Nicole Johnson, some featuring cover art, some with just the text to meet your needs, whatever they are. You can always contact me at greatlakesgreatbooks@gmail.com if you have any requests for something we could try to make for you, or if you just need any additional information, you can always contact me there. And also, our committee is made up of Michigan teachers and librarians. We try to keep it to about 10 or 12 folks each year on the committee. But if you are interested in joining, you may absolutely email me at the same email address, and we will, if there's room, we'll see what we can do. we would love to work with you. Otherwise, I was going to leave some time here. If there were any questions, if anyone has any questions, let me know. I haven't seen any popping up here in the chat. Hello to everybody. Wasn't looking. Excellent. Yeah. I guess in that case, that is all I have. I will say that I pre-scheduled posts, so all of the nominees have been added to the Great Lakes Great Books Facebook page and Instagram, and I'll be adding them to Twitter shortly. So those will all be on there, and then we'll be adding the winners as well. We're trying to keep it secret. I did open up all of the voting forms last night. So, you can start if you've already read all of them. Go ahead and vote. Also, you don't need to have read all of the books in a category to vote. It'd be great if you read maybe like 3, but even if you just read 1 and you know that is for sure your favorite, vote for that. We want to hear what you all like. Are there any questions? All right. Guess that is all she wrote then. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it.